Welcome to CivilNet. My guests today are Boris Navasartyan of the Yerevan Press Club and Mikhail Hovanesyan from the Eurasia Partnership Foundation, Armenia. And we're going to talk about this ongoing process of sometimes what I want to call the blind leading the blind, of Armenia entering, joining, talking about entering or joining the customs union, the Russian-led customs union. Boris, Mikhail, thank you for coming today.
Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you for trying to help us, A, understand this process of, again, the blind leading the blind, and B, what the organization that you represent, the Armenian National Platform of the Eastern Partnership Civil Society Forum, wants to be doing about this. Boris, first, tell us really briefly about the nature of this organization. Is it unique to Armenia? What did it do before the customs union announcement when there really was an Eastern Partnership around?
It is unique, in fact, not only for Armenia, but for EU relations with any of its partners, because it's the first time when the civil society as such and its role was institutionalized in EU relations with the government. And from the very beginning, and the Civil Society Forum was established in 2009, and Armenian, in general. And in Armenia, the founding meeting of the National Platform was in June 2010. So the initial role of the forum as such, and the decision to organize platform was already decision of the forum. It was not decision of European Commission. It was already self-development process. The role of the platform, the same as the role of the forum, was to be in permanent dialogue with the governments and to participate in overseeing the reform process in the context of EU and partner country relations, in our case Armenia, then mobilize the civil society for its participation in the Eastern Partnership, and ensuring public awareness about what is Eastern Partnership.
And we should probably repeat that the Eastern Partnership was the EU's initiative of trying to bring closer to the EU the 6 countries that were neither European Union candidates nor avowedly not interested, right? It's the 3 of us in the Caucasus, Ukraine, Moldova, Belarus.
And again, one of the differences between the previous stages of EU relations with our country and the other 5 was that indeed there was a special institutionalized format of participation of the civil society. And civil society is quite well listened in Brussels, and I can say that we have quite good contacts with EU officials. So before September 3, we had no problems with implementation of our mission. I mean, we could be disappointed with the speed of the reforms, we could criticize the government, but there was no strategic contradiction between what was government doing and what was our priorities. After September 3, we appeared in a situation when the 3 main goals, or part of them, are not more relevant for the situation. If there is no Eastern Partnership agenda, clear Eastern Partnership agenda for Armenia, if the priority is not European integration, then what can we monitor and what is the topic of our dialogue with the government? It's not that clear now.
But was there dialogue with the government before September 3?
At least there were some initial steps towards that. And at least, you know, we were doing many researches like European Integration Index and other researches in specific areas like anti-corruption, like public administration, like media freedom of expression. And all those criticisms which was in the reports of our researchers were quite well received by the government.
Our government.
Yeah, despite not always, I mean, we were saying that you are good. So after September 3, when there is no agenda, we did not know, in fact, what to do further, because the contradiction is principled, the contradiction is strategic now. So it could be decided by us that then we just focus on public awareness about how bad is customs union and how good could be association agreement with the European Union, but I don't think that it would be sufficient role for the organizations, about 190 organizations that are united in the platform.
Let's talk about that a little bit more, because otherwise the impact of this statement that I want to talk about and its contents won't make that much sense. Boris said, and I want to continue to talk about it, that this was a first effort to institutionalize civil society. In the rest of the world, civil society means us, the citizens, as well as the organizations through which we try to bring change, besides the elected government officials. In Armenia, civil society has more or less meant a bunch of NGOs. This kind of changes that.
This is a serious approach to involve the third party institutionally, which would play different roles aimed at improving the quality of the integration process. And in this respect, involving organizations that have worked for many, many years in various areas, gained experience and expertise, institutionalizing it would be the value added to this whole process. And since the government is often lacking expertise in different sectors, involvement of the civil society through the civil society forum could be a very important thing. But that was before September the 3rd.
Now look, if you're saying that up to September 3rd there was some sort of communication dialogue, Yevailin, and if since September 3rd, on September 3rd and since, we've all said, nobody talked to us, nobody explained this, we don't know where this takes us next. The most we know is from the roadmap that we didn't publish, right? That somebody else wrote up for us, the several hundred-page document that now is in circulation. Are they talking to you now? Did they talk to you after September 3rd?
No. After September 3, we had just some kind of polite, I would say, discussions with the participation of representatives of the government. But without clear commitments how they are going to involve us in so-called trilateral dialogue, which is EU institutions, Armenian government, and civil society. We, in fact, demanded that our role should be very concrete. If there are some agreements between EU and Armenia, there are some commitments from the Armenian government, it is we, first of all, who have our contacts and our communication with the society. We know what are the concerns of the society, what are expectations of the society. We are those, especially that we own specific methodologies of assessing any kind of reforms. So it had to be we who will say this reform was effective, this one is not. And in fact, our assessment was received and perceived by the EU institution as something reliable during last years. So the same had to be from the part of our government. If it is not, then what is our institutional role? Then our role is the same as before the national platform was created, when we were monitoring and nobody was taking this into account.
So today, the issue facing one of the three important issues, perhaps, you tell me if I'm wrong, facing the Armenian National Platform, the grouping of civil society organizations that want to move Armenia's development forward. One of them is, what happens with this customs union? How does it fit into the rest of the picture? The other is, what happens with EU relationship? How does that go forward? And is it fair to say that the third one then is, somewhere we have 1,000 pages of reform suggestions, right, in that EU negotiation package. We still have those pieces of paper, I assume. We didn't tear them up. So if we really want to reform, we have some sort of roadmap. Which direction is the platform now pursuing? What's on your agenda? What does this document say?
What we are saying, we understand that the full draft association agreement is not more relevant, as you said. So, but Armenian government several times announced that we are still interested to cooperate with the European Union to implement reforms in certain areas. So what is our request or demand, both towards EU and towards Armenia? Please tell us concretely.
You're asking
What
the government.
commitment?
That's the
Yeah,
question.
what commitment is still relevant? So that at least in this area, we could contribute our assessment capacity and help you to be consistent in whatever you are doing. If you are not saying us that there is no such a space where you have concrete commitments, this means that the money coming from EU to Armenian budget is just for nothing.
It's a donation.
Because budget support means support for implementation of certain reforms. If you are not implementing reforms, which we could assess and then report to both sides how effective they are, then there is no commitment to any reform. And if there is no commitment to the reforms from our government, it is an indicator that this government is not able, is not capable to ensure progress of Armenia. Then this government has to go. And we consider that the reform process could be in the agenda of Armenia after new and snap parliamentary and presidential elections.
This document has, I would say not prominently, it's neither the first nor the last paragraph, but has exactly that paragraph that you just said very politely. You know, it goes on to say that, look, we've asked you for months to come talk to us, put this on the National Assembly's agenda, explain to us what is what went, what stays. And we ask you again to come talk to us. And if not, the ANP will consider the disregard of the above enumerated demands as the authority's final rejection of any constructive dialogue with civil society, and therefore a change of government through snap elections of National Assembly and President will be considered as the only possibility to advance reforms in the country. I think that's a pretty damn strong statement. Where's the noise?
Well, I think the noise will appear, not only connected to this statement, but in general the noise is appearing, in my opinion, because this situation is the result of bankruptcy in sense of being able to implementing reforms, being able to keep the word by our governments and the president. This whole process of first intensively negotiating over the association agreement and the DCFTA, and then in one day rejecting everything, and that 1,000 pages of the document, it shows that our Armenian government is not reliable, neither for outside nor for inside. And this statement basically is reaction not only to the fact of this U-turn, but to the essence of Armenia's authorities. And I think this statement plus other activities that we're currently thinking about and everything that is currently happening in Armenia, inside the Armenian society, will make the noise.
What happened to this document? Who'd you give it to?
First, we consider that public dissemination is enough because, I mean, we are not someone living in a far village who has no communication means to deliver its voice to the government. I think that they know perfectly who we are. They follow perfectly the publications in media where this statement was quoted. But after receiving no response for some time, we decided to follow some kind of bureaucratic procedures and sent letters attaching the statement itself to the President's office, to the executive branch of the government, to the Prime Minister's cabinet, and to the Minister of Foreign Affairs. And the only place from where we received an answer, if we can say so, was Minister of Foreign Affairs and Deputy Minister Shavash Kocharian, who never dealt with the Eastern Partnership, according to his portfolio. Yes, he wrote us a letter. Thank you for your message.
It was a message.
It wasn't 3 pages.
Short text message.
Yeah, it is taken into consideration. So that was that. What does it mean whether they continue analyzing and trying to deal with it seriously, or it was just you say whatever you want, but it doesn't matter? I mean,
no off-the-record discussions either?
No.
What you're saying here is that we asked for Parliament to discuss this, the National Assembly, and you've basically ignored our request. So the National Assembly as a venue for discussion, debate, exploration didn't work, doesn't work. The media, some outlets printed it, and no resultant debate really that I could see. What's left? If the institutions don't work, what's left? More
and more active involvement of the society. That's basically the only thing that is left. So the more people know about what's going on, more in details, because one of the problems with whole this process, both in sense of the Eastern Partnership and the Customs Union, that throughout the whole process there was too little information about the content of what is going to happen. And basically the first thing we did after September 3rd as a national platform, we have applied both to European institutions and to our government to open up, to open the text of the negotiations.
Did you succeed?
No, unfortunately, but we used other ways to understand what is going on, because texts of agreements with other countries are open, so we can compare and judge what is going on. So dissemination of information of what's good, what's bad in both documents, how it should be done, what will change, etc., etc., throughout the society as much as possible is one of the only instruments that we currently have. But yet I think it can be a powerful instrument.
And if I may add, first of all, we should not evaluate the situation as, just ignorance of the government towards Armenian National Platform, because I think various institutions, including EU institutions, they requested our government, in fact, to clarify in what extent and in what format, in what content Armenia would like to develop its relations with the EU. And even they do not receive any response from the government. And even our MPs who participated in the meeting of EU-Armenia Parliamentary Cooperation Commission did not have any concrete mission to go and tell their colleagues from a European Parliament. I think it's ambiguity that exists in all Armenian institutions. So in addition to what Mikhail said, I think we have to find in Armenia institutions, people, groups, organizations who are interested to work on concrete external political agenda for Armenia. And another paragraph in this statement says that it is different to our position before September 3. Before September 3, we considered that our partners are the government and the European institutions. Now, we consider that our partners could be any organization, be it political or citizens' unions, who are interested to discuss with us European perspective of Armenia, geopolitical orientation of Armenia, reform process with Armenia, and we are starting already to
build those bridges?
To build those dialogue, because we see that there are separate groups in Armenia which are concerned with the situation, which want to find some solutions, but they do not have kind of platform to discuss it. If our platform would be suitable for that, we are happy to offer it.
As always, on a positive note. But it's interesting, no, that these civil society organizations that more or less really focus on domestic issues may perhaps be coming together around a foreign policy issue that will have, heaven knows, huge impact on our...
Especially that you cannot divide
them
clearly,
anymore.
Yeah, foreign and internal.
Absolutely. Things. So I don't know if, maybe I will keep saying the blind leading the blind, but yes, there's maybe a path there. Thank you. Boris Navasartian of the Yerevan Press Club, Mikhail Hovanesyan with Eurasia Partnership Foundation Armenia. We've been talking about what happens next with Armenia's future values development given the European Union versus the customs union situation in which we find ourselves. We will, of course, continue to talk about this and ask you to follow. Thank you for following us on CivilNet.